In the last session, we have seen how JDBC palette or activity works in TIBCO Business Works 5. And in this session, we will see how a SOAP over HTTP web service is implemented using TIBCO Business Works 5. And this is TIBCO Designer, which is used by TIBCO developers to design and develop and unit test business workflows. On the left hand side, you will see the project panel, and we have different tabs available, like global variables, tester, palettes, and we are exploring these tabs as and when we go to implement or test these application flows. And if you see here, there is a green play button on this process and this process, which signifies that these are starter processes. And there is a sub process which is called inside of this main starter process, which is the web services implemented using SOAP activities. We will try to uncover what these activities and the flow does. This is a SOAP event source, which is basically configuring the web service. And if we see the output of this SOAP event source, there is a parameter called author, which is coming from the client application. We will just explore the client application in a minute. And based on this author, we need to query a bookstore and get all the books written by this author and send back the response to the client application. That is the high level overview of this business process. And here in the input, we will send the author parameter inside the subprocess, where this subprocess is just mimicking a real-time business application where this is a business bookstore, and we have to get the books written by the author when we send the input as the parameter, uh, author as the parameter input. And this is a read file activity which we have uncovered in the file palette session, and the file name is coming from the global variable called read bookstore XML. And this is the sample project which is shipped out of the box from TIBCO. So the value we see here is from the TIBCO site's path, but we will try to change the path to the actual one. I believe this is the path of the bookstore.xml. Yeah. So basically, this bookstore.xml is trying to mimic some bookstore in real time. And it has the book root element, bookstore root element, and inside which we have books, multiple books information like title, author, date, ISBN, publisher, things like that. And this web service will take the author as the input parameter and call this bookstore, process then send the books information from the bookstore process, like what is the title, author, date, ISBN, and publisher. And this is the client application, which is trying to mimic some real-time client application, which is a timer-based process which runs once when we trigger it. And this is the send SOAP request reply activity, where the input will take the parameter author, and in this case the name is Vivek Ranadev, and we should get the response of what all books he has written. Having said that, let's save this project and try to run this application or web service. The first process to trigger is the web service client, and then when it triggers, it goes to the query books by author web service and gets the response from there. Okay, so the input parameter is Vivek Randev, and let's see the output. We have got the book names which are written by him, which is The Power of Now, and the publisher is TIBCO Software. And let's go to the main web service process. What happened here? Here the SOAP event source output we got, which is a post method, and the input parameter is where is the author name? I was trying to locate the author name. Yeah, sorry, here, the first line. Vivek Ranadev, and then go to the bookstore process, read the bookstore XML, parse the bookstore XML. Here we have different authors, and then on the end activity, we have a filter on the author, like here in the variable, the author coming from the star is set, which is Vivek in this case, and it will only list all the books that are written by Vivek based on this condition. It is trying to match the author coming from the bookstore XML and the variable which is coming from the start of this process, which makes sure it only lists the books written by Vivek. And coming outside of this process, we have a SOAP send reply, and on the input, we map it from the bookstore call process. So the input data to this process, to this activity, is the book title, author, date, and this response will be received on the client application on the SOAP request reply. And this is what we got. And this is the sample TIBCO BusinessWorks 5 project, which is a SOAP web services, SOAP over HTTP web services. I'll stop here and continue.